רבים, ויבן עוזיה ומגדלים בירושלים, ויחזקם, ויחזקם, ויבן עוזיה ומגדלים בירושלים, ויחזקם, ויחזקם, ויבן מגדלים, ויבן מגדלים במדבר, ויחצור בורות רבים, ויחצור בורות.
Shalom and welcome to Counting the Cost, a linguistic analysis of Hebrew numbers. Today we begin with the first number, the number 1, which represents unity. The word for one in Hebrew is echad in the masculine. You will see it achat in the feminine. It means one or ones each. It can mean the same one or a specific certain one. Sometimes it's translated as first. The first mention of echad is in Genesis 1:5, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. This is a King James translation, and there is a completely different word for first, which we'll cover in the next presentation. It really means day one, as we see in the Young's literal translation, and God calleth the light day, and to the darkness he hath called night, and there is an evening and there is a morning, day one. Something can't be first unless we're very sure that something is second. Since this is the first day, maybe Yahweh decided he would stop after day one. But we know that he didn't. In Genesis 1:9, and God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So this is a specific place. Genesis 2:11, the name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Again, really a mistranslation. It should be one. In Genesis 2:24, we see the first time that we have this idea of that one means unity. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. This is understood to be symbolic, a spiritual truth, but it's certainly not a physical truth. Genesis 11:6, and Yahweh said, behold, the people is one, and they all have one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. This is, of course, of the story of the Tower of Babel. And the people as one, in other words, they have some kind of unity about them. They're not one person. In Genesis 19:9, and they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. The idea here is one person. The word fellow is inserted, and in fact, we don't really need it in English either. This one, meaning this person that they're talking about. Genesis 27:44, and tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away. One can be plural in Hebrew. It's achadim. So the idea is several days, but one by one by one. Exodus 12:49, one law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. We're going to see very many examples of this. There's not just one law. In fact, someone has extrapolated that there are 613 laws in Tanakh, but the idea is that they make one idea. It's a unity of the law. Exodus 24:3, and Moses came and told the people all the words of Yahweh and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahweh hath said we will do. Again, there's many voices contributing to the unity. Exodus 30:10, and Aaron shall make an atonement upon the horns of it once in the year, with the blood of the sin offering of atonements. Once in the year shall he make atonement upon it throughout your generations. It is most holy unto Yahweh. Again, this is a literal one time. Leviticus 5:17. And if a soul sin and commit any of these things, which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of Yahweh, though he wist it not, yet he is guilty, and shall bear his iniquity. Even if you commit one single one of the sins that is mentioned in Leviticus. Leviticus 24:22. Ye shall have one manner of law, as well as for the stranger, as for one of your own country, for I am Yahweh your God. Again, one law. Numbers 7:11. And Yahweh said unto Moses, they shall offer their offering, each prince on his day, for the dedicating of the altar, one by one by one. Numbers 9:14. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto Yahweh, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. Ye shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land. I think this is pretty clear. Probably the most well-known verse of one is in Deuteronomy 6:4. In the King James, it says, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God. Yahweh is one Yahweh. And that is not a great translation. The JPS, Jewish Publication Society, translates, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God. Yahweh is one. The truth is that many of the names for God are plural, and there are facets of his being that we perhaps don't even know about or cannot understand. But as believers, we can at least understand that there are three: the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Judges 9:53. And a certain woman cast a piece of a millstone upon Abimelech's head, and all to break his skull. So this is one specific one. In Zephaniah 3:9, For then will I turn the people to a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. Again, going back to Exodus, the idea of the people being all together with one voice, and so they have a unity. The word that's translated consent here actually means shoulder in Hebrew. Jeremiah 51:60. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come from Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. There are many languages that don't have an indefinite article, like English, which we say or a. And if you speak to a foreign person, sometimes they will say, oh, I bought one car today. Well, most people buy one car, and we would say, I bought a car today. So this is a use also of echad. The important thing that a book was written, not that just one book was written. Ecclesiastes 11:6. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper, either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. As if they are one, they're both the same good. Nehemiah 7:66. The whole congregation together was 40,303. There is another word for together, and we're going to look at it. It's related to echad, but again, the idea is that it's one congregation, even though it's all these people. Ezekiel 21:21. It's 21:16 in the King James. Go thee one way or the other, either on the right hand or on the left, whithersoever thy face is set. I think this is the only time where echad is actually used as a verb. I believe it's in the Hitpa'el. And so it's a little difficult to translate what the meaning is. We see in the Young's literal translation, it looks like take possession of the right, place thyself at the left, whither thy face is appointed. I guess the best translation is in the JPS. Go thee one way to the right, or direct thyself to the left. Which way are you going? Whither is thy face set? So we have to make a decision when we come to a fork in the road. Take yourself with one mind, do one thing or the other. We're going to look at some cognate roots, and as you know, cognate roots are roots that are related to each other by linguistic rules of sound shift. From Echad, as I said, we're going to look at Yachad, which has the Yud, Chada, which has the phoneme Chet Daled, and also Chud, of the same phoneme root. Yachad means together, as one. In Genesis 13:6, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. Talking about Abraham and Lot. They couldn't dwell as one. 1 Samuel 30:24, for who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part is that goeth down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarrieth by the stuff. They shall part alike. David had to leave some of the men behind to look after the belongings, but he said whoever comes back with the spoil, they're going to share it with the people that stayed with the belongings, and they will have a part together. It's the same part. We saw a similar use of alike with echad. Psalm 19:9, the fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. They are both like the same thing. The truth and the righteousness are together. They're one thing. Perhaps the best known verse, I know maybe you sing a song to this verse, Psalm 133:1, a song of degrees of David. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. From this root we also have the word yachid, and yachid means only or unique, and this is definitely a singular idea. The first appearance of this word is in Genesis 22:2, and he said, take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And so this is a beautiful foreshadowing of Father God who sends his own son. Isaac does not have to die. A ram dies in Isaac's place, but we know that Yeshua did die, and Yahweh raised him from the dead. Another single child in the scriptures, in Judges 11:34, and Yiftach came to Mitzpeh unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child. Beside her he had neither son nor daughter. And it is unclear really from the scriptures. I think people would like to make a way around the fact that Yiftach had offered his daughter to be a sacrifice. Well, he didn't specifically offer his daughter. He offered whatever came out of the house first, maybe thinking that his faithful dog would come out. But as in fact, his only child came out, and either she wandered the hills unmarried for the rest of her life, or in fact, her life was taken as a sacrifice. Psalm 68:6, God setteth the solitary in families, he bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwell in a dry land. Again, this is a single person. Zechariah 12:10, and I will pour out upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. Again, the shadow picture of Yeshua and what will happen in the end days is as he returns and the people of David and Jerusalem realize, yes, that was him, and they will mourn for him as an only son. The root chada means to join together, and sometimes for the purpose of rejoicing. Job 3:6, and as for that night, let darkness seize upon it, let it not be joined unto the days of the year, let it not come into the number of months, something he is wishing to forget. Psalm 21:6, for thou hast made him most blessed forever, thou hast made him exceeding glad with thy countenance. So the rejoicing and the gladness has to do with coming together for the purpose of rejoicing. Also, this root is related to chadad, which means sharp or alert. It has to do with the edge of the sword. And this relates again to the two coming together. The two edges of the sword come together, and that's what provides the sharp blade, the two edges joining together. Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Ezekiel 21:9. Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith Yahweh, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. So as each edge rubs and the two edges are coming together, then we see the sharpness. The word chidah comes from the root chud, which was mentioned earlier. The word chud is a verb that means to set forth a riddle, and chidah is the noun that goes with it. It is the riddle. Sometimes it's translated as dark saying. Judges 14:12. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If you can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast, and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And his riddle was, out of the eater, something to eat, out of the strong, something sweet. How is a riddle like a sharpened sword? What is the idea of a riddle of many things becoming one and having a sharp edge? We can't understand the riddle, how the thoughts are tied together, until we understand what the answer to the riddle is. And the answer to Samson's riddle was what he had done in the forest with the lion, how he had killed the lion and then come back and found the honey in the lion's head. So he had to give them the answer, or they wormed the answer out of him. But these ideas make no sense unless we string them together with the answer to the riddle. And that's how the riddle is like two things becoming one, like the sharp edge of a sword. Another place where this word is used is in Psalm 78:2. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. And if you continue to read Psalm 78, it is about the Exodus. And so we can draw the conclusion that there's ideas that come together in the Exodus that define a purpose, and also the Exodus is a parable for something. It's a shadow and type of something that's going to happen again in the future. And it will be the future Exodus, which is spoken of in Jeremiah, will be for the same purpose of tying things together. The people went down to Egypt as a family. They came out as a nation. So we are in the time period that we're living in now. We're going to go through an Exodus, and we will come out different than we went in. What is the importance, what is the significance of one to us as a body of believers? It's important that we understand that one can be a multifaceted singularity, that just as the man and wife become one flesh, they are two physical separate identities, but somehow in the spirit they become one. The word Adonai, which is used by Jewish people exclusively where the word Yahweh is written, but it's also used to mean God in Tanakh. There's places where it actually uses the word Adonai. By Hebrew grammar, this is a plural word, but it is one God. Elohim, you can see easily, is a plural word, but we have one God. And therefore, we need to be one people. Matthew 19:5. And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. Also Matthew 23:8. But be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Messiah, and all ye are brethren. and call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. We all have one Father, and we are one body. John 10:16. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. We're living in a time where the awakening of the Gentile brethren as they come to Messianic faith, and they understand that they belong in the same sheepfold with the same shepherd as Jewish believers. John 17:22. And the glory which thou gavest me I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. We are to be as tightly knit together with each other as Yeshua is with the Father. Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Messiah Yeshua. Yes, we have natural identities, but before Messiah, we are seen as a body of believers. Ephesians 2:14. For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace, and that he might reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby. The enmity is the hatred which is caused by the commandments. There's nothing wrong with the commandments. What is wrong is that we hate each other and we think of different reasons to be right or to break fellowship, and God is wanting us to be one. The work that Yeshua did on the cross is to break down the walls between believers, that we can be reconciled to God and we can be reconciled to each other. We need to be one body, a multifaceted singularity. In the meantime, tasim et ha'inayim al hashamayim, keep your eye on the sky, your redemption draweth nigh. Shalom.